Welcome to Zoe Stories. I lost a bet. Now my roommate won't let me wear pants. I never thought a stupid bet would end with me hiding skirts in my closet and facing a truth I wasn't ready to admit. I still remember the exact moment everything changed. It was a typical Friday night. The air thick with the smell of takeout and cheap beer, the low hum of music from my roommate's speakers filling the small apartment. I, Sam, a 19-year-old college junior, had always been the quiet, almost invisible type. Social situations made me nervous. My confidence was like paper in a storm, and the only thing I was sure about was staying under the radar. But all that was about to crash down. Jake, my roommate since freshman year, was the exact opposite of me. Loud, confident, and irresistibly mischievous, he thrived on pushing boundaries and making people squirm. Tonight, he had that glint in his eye that warned me to run. But I didn't. I never do. So, Sam, Jake grinned, pulling out a deck of cards. How about a bet? If I win, you do whatever I say for 24 hours. I laughed nervously, thinking it was all in good fun. You're on. The game was simple, a few rounds of poker, nothing serious. But Jake played like a shark, and I was an easy catch. When the final card flipped, Jake's smirk grew wider. Looks like you lost. Wait, what do you want me to do? I asked, heart already pounding. Jake's voice softened, almost sweet, but with a hard edge beneath. For the next day, no pants. You'll wear whatever I pick. I scoffed, thinking he'd never actually do it. But the next morning, I found a small bag waiting for me on my desk. Inside, a silky skirt, a delicate blouse, stockings, and a note. Suit up, pretty boy. No backing out. Panic settled in. I was shy, unpracticed, and terrified of what this meant. Why was Jake doing this? Was it a joke? Or something more? The thought of walking around in skirts, makeup, heels, it was like stepping into someone else's nightmare. I looked into the mirror and saw myself, or someone I barely recognized. The curve of the skirt clinging awkwardly to my hips, the unfamiliar softness of the blouse, my hands trembling as I tried on the stockings. My reflection looked back with wide eyes, like a stranger trapped in my skin. When Jake came back, he was all smiles, but there was something controlling beneath it. You'll get used to it, he said, helping me fix my makeup with a teasing finger. Just think, you might even like it. I wanted to protest, to fight back, but something inside me cracked. Maybe it was the humiliation, or the thrill of being noticed in a way I never had. Maybe it was the way Jake's eyes lingered on me, not with mockery, but something darker, more possessive. That day, I had to walk out into the campus, in skirts, makeup, and heels, with Jake beside me like a shadow. Every glance from strangers felt like a spotlight. Every step was a battle between fear and curiosity. And just as I was starting to question who I really was, I heard a voice from behind, one I thought I'd never face again. Sam? Is that really you? I thought wearing a skirt was the worst part, but nothing prepared me for the way he controlled every inch of me. The voice behind me froze me in place. It was Michael, a guy from my high school, someone I never expected to see again, especially like this. I glanced over my shoulder, heart hammering as he blinked, eyes wide, struggling to place the familiar face beneath the mascara and blush. For a moment, the world narrowed down to just his confused gaze and my own pounding heartbeat. Before I could stammer out an explanation, Jake stepped forward, his smile calm, but with a hint of menace. Hey, Michael, Jake said smoothly, his hand resting possessively on my shoulder. Meet Samantha. Samantha, I echoed, the name tasting strange and foreign on my tongue. Back at the apartment, Jake's dominance over my new identity only grew. He insisted on picking out every detail of my appearance, telling me how to walk with a sway, how to lower my voice just enough, how to smile like a girl. Look at you, Jake said one evening, adjusting the delicate lace bra under my blouse. You're starting to be perfect. You don't need to be Sam anymore. I hated how part of me wanted to please him, to feel beautiful under his gaze, even as another part screamed to resist. Jake turned my bathroom into a makeup studio. He taught me how to blend foundation, line my eyes, apply mascara, without blinking in panic. Less scared, more confident, he urged, guiding my shaky hands. He brought home lingerie, silky panties, and lace stockings, and made me wear them every day, promising it was part of becoming Samantha for good. Every morning started with new clothes carefully chosen by him. I had to practice walking in heels, tripping and almost falling more times than I could count. But Jake was there, sometimes laughing, sometimes gentle, always watching. At night, I cried quietly in my room. This wasn't me, was it? The mirror no longer reflected Sam, the shy, awkward boy. It reflected Samantha, soft, vulnerable, exposed. Embarrassment ate at me in the cafeteria when I caught my reflection in the glass window. There I was, a girl's face staring back, cheeks flushed with shame, and something else I couldn't name. Jake dragged me to a local salon for a girls' day out. Surrounded by women chatting and laughing, I felt like an alien. But as the stylist styled my hair in soft curls, a strange calm washed over me. Pretty, the stylist whispered, catching my eye in the mirror. For a split second, I believed her. That night, Jake sat beside me on the couch, his tone softer than usual. You know, Samantha, I didn't just do this to win a bet, he said quietly. There's a reason you needed this, even if you don't see it yet. The weight of his words crushed me, and just as I opened my mouth to ask, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from someone I never expected to hear from again, my ex-best friend. We need to talk. Now. When the past catches up to you, the line between who you were and who you've become begins to blur. The message from my ex-best friend, Leo, lit up my phone like a warning flare. My fingers trembled as I stared at his name on the screen. We hadn't spoken in over a year, not since the fallout that had left me feeling even smaller and more invisible than ever. Jake glanced at the phone, a shadow crossing his face. Want me to handle it? He asked softly. No, I whispered, too scared to face the storm Leo might bring. But deep down, I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. The next day, Leo showed up at the campus coffee shop where I was forced to meet him as Samantha. His eyes widened in disbelief when he saw me in full makeup and a flowing skirt. Is this some kind of joke? He asked, voice barely above a whisper. I shook my head, words choking in my throat. It's complicated. Leo's gaze softened, but I caught the flicker of judgment too. You always ran from yourself, Sam. Maybe this is you running from something else. Walking home, I felt a whirlwind inside, shame, confusion, a tiny spark of relief. For the first time, I heard truths I'd buried. Jake's control suddenly felt less like punishment and more like a strange kind of protection. At the apartment, Jake was waiting, calm and distant. You survived today, he said. But are you really sure who you are anymore? His question lingered like a cold fog. I looked in the mirror again. Samantha's eyes stared back, but somewhere deep inside, Sam was flickering like a dying candle. That night, I broke down in front of Jake for the first time. Tears streaming, I whispered, I don't know who I am anymore. Jake pulled me close, voice low and steady. You're not lost. You're becoming. His words, a mixture of cruelty and kindness, sliced through my confusion. The next day, a surprise awaited me. Mark, a gentle boy from my literature class, approached me shyly. You look beautiful, he said softly, cheeks reddening. His simple words stirred feelings I hadn't felt before. Was this attraction? Acceptance? Or something more? But as I felt myself slipping further into this new life, Jake's true plan began to surface. You're mine now, Samantha, he whispered one night, eyes gleaming. And suddenly, everything I thought I knew was at risk, including my freedom. The sweetest smile can hide the darkest intentions, and I was about to learn that the hard way. The apartment felt colder than usual when Jake walked in that evening. The easy charm that had once softened his control now seemed forced, like a mask slipping at the edges. He sat beside me, fingers tracing lazy circles on my arm, but there was a tension in his jaw that sent a shiver down my spine. Samantha, he began, voice calm but heavy, there's something you need to understand. I swallowed hard, heart pounding. The room felt too small, the air too thick. This isn't just about a bet, Jake said, eyes locking with mine. It's about control. About who holds the power. He leaned in, his breath warm against my cheek. You were always so quiet, so easy to push aside. I wanted to see what happens when you have to stand out, when you can't hide behind those baggy pants and your shy smile. The words hit me like a blow. It wasn't a game, it was punishment. Revenge. I didn't just want to dress you up, he whispered. I wanted to break you down. So I could build you up my way. Sensory overload. The transformation deepens. That night, Jake took me to a high-end boutique he frequented. Under the harsh glow of the shop lights, I was forced to try on dress after dress, the silky fabric slipping over my skin, unfamiliar and alien. He made me walk back and forth before the mirror, correcting my posture, teaching me how to smile like a girl should. The scent of expensive perfume mixed with a sharp sting of humiliation as customers glanced my way, whispering. Every step in the high heels was a stab of vulnerability, but Jake's steady grip on my hand reminded me I wasn't allowed to fall. Back at the apartment, alone for a moment, I caught my reflection in the full-length mirror. The girl staring back was exquisite, a perfect blend of softness and strength. But underneath the makeup, beneath the carefully styled hair and painted nails, my eyes held a storm. Was I still Sam? Or was I Samantha now? A creation born of someone else's desire and cruelty? Jake's control was a twisted dance, moments of tenderness that made me crave his approval, followed by sharp commands that reminded me who was in charge. Look at you, he said one morning, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. Pretty, obedient, almost mine. The words both thrilled and terrified me. Days passed, and with every sunrise, I slipped further into Samantha's world, a world of skirts, heels, whispered compliments, and silent fears. But just when I thought I might lose myself completely, the unthinkable happened. A message from my mother popped up on my phone. Sam, I'm worried. Please call me. The voice on the other end was my anchor and my storm, my mother's concern breaking through the chaos of my new reality. I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over the call button.
Sam, my mother had said.
Not Samantha. That one word stirred a whirlwind of emotions inside me. Guilt, fear, shame, but also a deep, aching longing for the boy I once was. I swallowed hard and dialed. Her voice was soft, tentative, like she was afraid she might lose me. Sam? Is that really you? Her question held more hope than doubt. Tears welled up, blurring my vision as I struggled to explain. It's complicated, Mom, I whispered. I'm different now. I told her about the bet, the skirts, Jake's control, about the shame and the strange thrill of becoming someone else. Each word was a release and a fresh wound. She listened quietly, never judging, only asking questions that made me think about who I really was beneath the layers of makeup and lace. Whatever you are, Sam, I love you, she said firmly. But promise me you'll stay safe. Her words were a lifeline. After the call, Jake was waiting, arms crossed, eyes dark. You reached out, he said, voice low. Yeah, I said. I needed to hear from someone who still knows me. He didn't say a word, but his expression hardened. That night, the balance shifted. Jake's control became tighter, less sweet, more demanding. He reminded me again and again who I belonged to now. The following weekend, Jake took me to the mall, not just for shopping, but as a test. I felt every eye on me, some curious, others judgmental. The sensation was overwhelming. My heels clicked unevenly on the tile floor, the skirt swishing as I followed Jake, head low, cheeks burning. In the food court, a group of teenagers whispered loudly, "Look at that guy trying to be a girl." Panic rose, but Jake squeezed my hand. "Ignore them. You're more than they'll ever be." His words were both shield and chain. Later, as Jake sat at a cafe table, I excused myself to the restroom. Locked inside, tears spilled freely. The mirror was unforgiving, the painted smile a mask, the eyes revealing a scared boy trapped inside a perfect doll. For a moment, I hated Jake. Then I hated myself. Back outside, Mark from my class was waiting. "Hey, Samantha," he said softly, offering a tentative smile. His kindness was like sunlight through clouds, but the question loomed. Was I really becoming Samantha? Or losing Sam forever? That night, as I lay in bed, the phone buzzed with an unknown number. A text appeared. "You don't have to do this alone. Meet me tomorrow. Someone who cares." My heart raced.
Who could it be?
In the darkest moments, sometimes a stranger's kindness can be the light you desperately need. The message haunted me throughout the night, each buzz on my phone a pulse of hope and fear. Who could this mysterious someone be? And more importantly, could I trust them? Morning came with a thick fog in my mind and a storm in my heart. Jake was already up, waiting with a smirk that said he knew more than he let on. "You're meeting someone?" His tone was sharp, the sweetness from before gone. I hesitated, then nodded. "Fine," he said, "but don't forget who you belong to." I arrived at a quiet cafe near campus, nerves tangling in my stomach. A girl sat alone at a corner table, eyes bright, smile warm. "I'm Emily," she said, standing to hug me lightly. "I've been where you are." Her voice held a softness that felt like balm on my frayed nerves. Emily told me her own story, of battles with identity, control, and finding strength in unexpected places. Over coffee, we talked for hours. She listened without judgment, offering advice and hope. "You're not alone," Emily said firmly. "And you don't have to let Jake define you." Her words echoed in my mind, stirring a spark I thought was lost. But freedom was not so easy. That night, Jake confronted me, his smile cold. "Emily's nice, but she doesn't own you," he said. "Only I do." His control tightened again, curfews, constant monitoring, rules for every hour. Days blurred. I was caught between two worlds, the warmth Emily offered and the cold grip of Jake's dominance. I practiced walking, makeup, smiles, but inside a war raged. Was Samantha a cage or a new beginning? One evening, Jake's phone buzzed loudly with a text from an unknown number. He glanced at it, eyes narrowing. "Looks like someone else wants to play," he muttered. And suddenly I realized this was far from over. Every step I took deeper into Samantha's world felt like a surrender, but a small, stubborn flame inside me refused to die. The days after meeting Emily became a tug-of-war for my soul. Her warmth was like sunlight through a storm, but Jake's presence was the relentless thundercloud I couldn't escape. Morning light spilled through the curtains, but I felt trapped under a heavy blanket of dread. Jake sat on the edge of the bed, eyes sharp and unyielding. "Time for your lessons," he said without a smile. Jake's idea of lessons went beyond skirts and makeup. He drilled me on posture, the subtle arch of my back, the tilt of my head, the soft sway of my hips. Not like a boy trying to be a girl. He snapped once, like a real woman. He forced me to speak in a lighter voice, softer and more melodic, practicing phrases until they felt like a foreign language on my tongue. Lingerie replaced my boxers, silk stockings slid over my legs, and heels clicked sharply against the cold floor as I stumbled and fell repeatedly. Each misstep was met with a pointed correction or a cold stare. In front of the mirror, Samantha's reflection stared back. The makeup was flawless, the dress hugged my curves just right. But behind those eyes was Sam, confused, scared, and slowly fading. The mirror became both a friend and a foe. Sometimes I traced my own face with trembling fingers, trying to find the boy I once was. Other times I practiced smiles, trying to convince myself that this new self was real. Emily's texts became a lifeline. She reminded me of my worth beyond Jake's control. "You're strong, Sam. You're more than his game." But her words felt distant sometimes, like trying to hold onto a dream while sinking in quicksand. One evening, after Jake forced me to attend a party dressed in a delicate pastel dress, heels that made my feet scream, and makeup that hid my freckles, something inside me snapped. As Jake laughed with his friends, proudly showing me off like a trophy, I caught my reflection in a window. A girl smiling back, but whose smile was it really? With shaking hands, I ripped off the wig Jake had styled onto my head and stalked into the bathroom. Tears burned my cheeks as I locked myself in the bathroom, gasping for air. I screamed silently at the reflection that felt like a stranger. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. Emily again. "Remember who you are," the message read. For the first time in weeks, I whispered, "I'm not just Samantha." I opened the bathroom door, heart pounding, and faced Jake. "I'm done playing your game," I said, voice stronger than I felt. Jake's smile vanished, replaced by a dangerous glint. "Oh, sweetheart," he said softly, "we've only just begun." Challenging Jake felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. One wrong step, and I could fall into darkness. The defiance still echoed in my throat, raw and trembling. Jake's eyes darkened, the playful menace turning sharp and cold. "So, you want out?" he murmured, stepping closer. I swallowed hard, heart pounding. "I want to be me again."
Sam.
"Not this charade." Jake's laugh was low, dangerous. "You think you have a choice?" That night, the apartment transformed into a cage. Jake monitored every move. Curfews tightened, phone calls watched, friends restricted. He forced me into more elaborate outfits, makeup heavier, heels higher. "The world won't accept a weak Samantha," he hissed, "and neither will I." Every command chipped away at my will. Yet, in moments alone, a flicker of rebellion ignited. One evening, under the harsh bathroom light, I stared deep into my eyes. "Who are you?" I whispered. Samantha's reflection smiled back, but I saw Sam's pain beneath. The lines between who I was and who I had become blurred until I could no longer tell. Mark became my unexpected refuge. He saw past the skirts and makeup to the person inside, tentative, scared, searching. One afternoon, he reached for my hand, grounding me. "You're beautiful," he said softly. His words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, confusing, comforting, frightening. In a quiet park, away from Jake's eyes, I broke down in Mark's arms. "I'm losing myself," I confessed. He held me, whispering, "Maybe finding yourself means letting go of who you thought you were." But Jake was never far away. That night, I overheard him on the phone, his voice cold and furious. "They're trying to take her away. I won't let that happen." Fear gripped me. Who truly had control, Jake or me? Every choice felt like a trap, but one decision could change everything. The night air was heavy as I sat on the apartment balcony, my legs curled beneath me, skirt brushing cold metal. Jake's words echoed in my mind, his threats, his possessiveness, but so did Emily's and Mark's gentle voices urging me toward freedom. The battle inside me was relentless. Who was I fighting for? Was Samantha a mask or a part of me I could accept? The phone call. My phone vibrated. Emily again. "Meet me. We can help." Hope flickered. I knew if I stayed, Jake's grip would tighten until I was lost forever. But leaving meant stepping into the unknown. A risky escape plan. With trembling hands, I messaged Mark. "I need out," I wrote. His reply was immediate.
"Tonight."
"I'll be there." Jake's gaze was sharp when I told him I was going out for fresh air. His suspicion was palpable. "You won't get far," he warned. But inside, I felt a resolve I hadn't known I had. Mark waited in the shadows outside, a lifeline in the dark. The night air was crisp as we hurried away, the city's lights blurring past. For the first time in weeks, I felt a breath of freedom, but also the weight of what I was leaving behind. Safe in Mark's apartment, I stared at my reflection, still Samantha, but maybe more me than ever. "Who are you?" he asked gently. I smiled, uncertain but hopeful. "Maybe I'm both," I whispered. But freedom came with a cost. Jake's voice rang in my mind. "You can run, Samantha, but you can't hide." Freedom tasted sweet, but came wrapped in uncertainty, and every step forward felt like walking on shattered glass. The moment Mark's door clicked shut behind me, the reality of my escape hit with a weight I hadn't anticipated. I was free from Jake's suffocating control, but the ghosts of my transformation still clung to me like a second skin. The soft glow of the city lights outside contrasted sharply with the turmoil raging inside. Mark's apartment was small but warm, walls adorned with books, soft music playing from a corner speaker. He offered me tea, his hands steady and reassuring. I sank into the worn couch, skirt rustling softly as I curled up. Mark's eyes searched mine. "Do you want to talk about it?" he asked gently. Confession and vulnerability. I let the dam break. Tears spilled as I recounted everything: the bet, Jake's control, the humiliations, the moments of quiet beauty and pain. Mark listened without interruption, his presence a comforting anchor. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered. He reached out, fingers brushing my cheek. "You're still you, just a you who's been through hell." A moment of tenderness. In that fragile moment, I allowed myself to lean on him. The fear and shame ebbed a little as I felt a warmth I hadn't known I could trust. Mark's smile was gentle, his voice steady. "You're not alone. And you don't have to be perfect. The past catches up." But freedom was fragile. The next morning, my phone buzzed violently. A message from an unknown number appeared. "You can run, but you can't hide, Samantha." My heart clenched. Was Jake tracking me already? Fear warred with hope. Could I build a new life as Samantha on my own terms? Or was the past too strong? Mark took my hand, grounding me. "Whatever you choose, I'm here." That night, a knock shattered the quiet. I froze. "Sam?" A familiar voice called softly. I peeked through the curtains. Jake stood outside, calm, dangerous, and more determined than ever. The past doesn't just knock. Sometimes it storms in, demanding everything you thought you left behind. The knock at the door was firm, insistent, shattering the fragile calm Mark and I had fought so hard to build. My chest tightened, breath catching in my throat. The air suddenly felt too thick, the room too small. Mark glanced at me, eyes sharp with concern. "Should I answer?" he asked quietly. I shook my head.
No.
Not yet. But Jake wasn't someone who took no for an answer. A moment later, footsteps echoed in the hallway. "Sam." Jake's voice was low, edged with something dark, equal parts menace and desperate need. "Open up." I pressed my back against the door, heart pounding. "Jake, please," I whispered, voice shaky but firm. "I'm done. Leave me alone." The battle of words. He laughed, bitter and cold. "You think this is over? You're mine whether you like it or not." I clenched my fists, tears burning. "I'm not your possession." For the first time, I felt something inside me harden, a spark of defiance, fragile but real. Mark moved between us, calm but protective. "Jake, you need to leave. This isn't your fight anymore." Jake's eyes flickered with anger, but also a strange respect. "This isn't over," he hissed before retreating. The door closed, and silence returned, heavy and uncertain. I sank into Mark's arms, shaking. "Thank you," I whispered. He kissed my forehead gently. "We'll get through this. Together." That night, I stared at the ceiling, thoughts swirling. Was Samantha truly me? Or just a mask Jake forced me to wear? Could I ever reclaim Sam? Or was he gone forever? As sleep tugged at my eyes, a new message appeared on my phone. "Meet me tomorrow. I have answers." From an unknown number. Some truths come wrapped in shadows, waiting for the right moment to unravel everything. The message haunted me through the restless night. "Meet me tomorrow. I have answers." An unknown number, a mystery wrapped in uncertainty. I couldn't sleep. My mind spun with possibilities. Who could it be? A friend? An enemy? Someone tied to Jake's dark games? Mark noticed my unrest as we sat together in the dim morning light filtering through the curtains. "You should go," he said softly, reaching for my hand. "Maybe this is the key to breaking free." The next afternoon, I found myself standing outside a small, quiet cafe on the edge of campus, the kind of place that promised secrets behind its weathered brick walls. My heart raced as I pushed open the door and stepped inside. The murmur of conversations and the rich aroma of coffee filled the air, but my eyes searched for the person who had summoned me. A figure rose from a corner table, her face familiar yet lined with worry and determination. "Sam?" she asked gently, voice trembling slightly. It was Anna, Jake's younger sister. Anna's eyes darted around nervously before she spoke. "I know what Jake's been doing to you," she said quietly. "I didn't want to believe it at first, but I've seen how far he's gone." She slid a small envelope across the table. "This has everything: texts, pictures, proof." My hands shook as I opened the envelope. The evidence was damning: Jake's manipulative messages, photos of me dressed and humiliated, plans to keep me under his control.
Tears blurred my vision.
The betrayal cut deeper than I had expected. "I thought he was just joking," I whispered. "But this is something else." Anna nodded solemnly. "He's dangerous, Sam. You need to get away." For the first time since the nightmare began, I felt a flicker of hope. Anna wasn't just Jake's sister. She was someone who wanted to help me reclaim my life. She promised to support me, to confront Jake in her own way. As I left the cafe, the evidence heavy in my bag, I realized the fight wasn't just about clothes or control anymore. It was about reclaiming my identity, my freedom. But could I trust Anna? Could I trust myself? That night, as I lay in bed, my phone buzzed again. A text from Jake. "You'll regret trusting her. You belong to me." My breath hitched. The battle was far from over. When the past and present collide, the only way out is through the fire. But will I emerge whole? The envelope felt heavier than a brick in my hands. It wasn't just paper and pictures. It was the weight of truth, betrayal, and hope wrapped in a fragile bundle. Anna's words echoed in my mind. "Jake is dangerous. You're not safe yet." For the first time, I felt the scales tipping. The power wasn't entirely his anymore. Mark sat beside me, his steady presence a balm for my frayed nerves. We spent hours poring over every message, every photo, Jake's manipulation laid bare in cold digital ink. "This is enough," Mark said firmly. "We take this to the authorities. We end this." But Anna warned me, Jake wouldn't give up without a fight. The morning sun peeked through the curtains as Jake waited inside the apartment, silent, his eyes sharp as knives. The air was thick with unspoken threats. He didn't greet me. Instead, his voice was low, cold. "You think a few texts and pictures will break me? Samantha, you belong to me." My moment of defiance. Something inside snapped. I stood taller, heart pounding but voice steady.
"No, Jake.
I'm not yours. I'm me,
Sam.
and I'm done hiding." Jake's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint flashing, but I didn't look away.
Just then the doorbell rang.
Anna stepped in, her face a mixture of determination and fear. "We know everything, Jake," she said. "It's over." Words became weapons. Secrets spilled. Accusations flew like lightning bolts. Jake's facade cracked, revealing a darker side I'd never seen: rage, desperation, and a twisted need for control. As Anna presented the evidence, Jake faltered, the walls closing in. The fight for power between us reached its peak, raw, emotional, and devastating. When the dust settled, I was free. But the reflection in the mirror was different. A girl shaped by pain and control, but also by resilience and courage. My phone buzzed with a final message from Jake. "You can't run from yourself." I stared at the screen, the weight of those words sinking deep. Freedom was a fragile promise, and the hardest battle was learning to live with who I had become. The adrenaline from the confrontation still pulsed through my veins, but now, in the quiet aftermath, I faced a new kind of challenge: rebuilding myself. Not as Jake's possession or a victim, but as Sam and Samantha, intertwined and struggling for space. Sunlight filtered softly through the window as I sat by the mirror, tracing my reflection. The girls staring back were the scars of my journey: delicate makeup, the faintest curve of lashes, and eyes that had seen too much. I touched my face gently, whispering, "Who am I now?" Mark's presence was steady as ever. He didn't push or prod, just offered quiet support. "We'll figure this out," he said softly. "One day at a time." His words were a lifeline, but inside, I wrestled with doubt and fear. Venturing outside felt like stepping into a storm. Every glance, every whisper felt magnified. Yet, I discovered moments of unexpected kindness, smiles from strangers, gentle words from friends. Samantha was no longer just a mask forced upon me. Pieces of her were becoming real. The confidence in my walk, the way makeup highlighted features I never noticed, the thrill when someone called me beautiful. But Sam wasn't gone. He lived in the quiet moments, in memories and longings. At night, I struggled with who to be, the girl the world saw, or the boy I remembered. Anna remained a surprising ally, checking in, sharing stories, reminding me I wasn't alone. One evening, a letter arrived, no sender, no return address. Inside was a simple note. True freedom begins when you accept all of yourself. Sometimes the hardest battles lead to the most unexpected peace. The letter's words echoed in my mind as I sat quietly by the window, watching the sun dip below the horizon. True freedom begins when you accept all of yourself. It was both a challenge and a promise. I thought back to the shy, unsure boy who lost a bet and became Samantha, a girl wrapped in silk and shadows. The humiliation, the control, the heartbreak, and the moments of fragile beauty. But also the strength I discovered inside, the resilience I never knew I had. A walk through the city. That evening, I walked through the city streets, feeling the cool breeze against my skin, the gentle sway of my dress, the click of heels on pavement. I passed faces, some curious, some kind, some indifferent. For the first time, I didn't shrink. I smiled softly to myself. Mark's presence. Mark walked beside me, a comforting shadow. His hand found mine, fingers entwining effortlessly. "You're amazing, Sam," he said simply. His acceptance was a balm to my soul. The mirror revisited. Back at home, I stood before the mirror, no masks, no pretenses. I saw both Sam and Samantha staring back, not at odds but parts of the same whole. Tears welled, but this time they were tears of peace. I whispered, "I'm me. All of me." The battle was over, not because someone else gave me freedom, but because I claimed it for myself. The past was behind me, a chapter closed but never forgotten. Ahead was a future I would write with courage, truth, and love. As night settled, I looked out the window, heart light and hopeful. No longer bound by bets, control, or fear, I was finally free.